Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Animaking 2. And today I'm going to be giving you part 14 of What If Naruto was put through hell and adopted by the Raikage. Remember to get this one to 100 like as usual. Share this to all your friends in your social media platform. And also go ahead and check out the brand new episode of What If Naruto had the ultimate nature bloodline over in Animaking 3 and enjoyed that guys. And I also post a brand new episode over in Anime King of What If Naruto was told about the Uzumaki clan from the beginning. So go ahead and enjoy that guys. And remember, if you're new, to go ahead and click those red subscribe button because you heard those correctly. I indeed have 3 channels, Anime King, Anime King 2, Anime King 3, which I post What If on every single day for you guys to enjoy. So go ahead and click those red subscribe button and become part of the Anime King family. And turn on those bell notifications they posted. And yeah, without further ado, let us begin this new episode. Start the intro. So the last time we left off, a few months passed since Katsumi was taken, and there has been no sightings, nothing of her. Kushina had fell into a form of depression because of something Naruto said that really hurt her, as he told her that she lost her daughter, and she already lost her son a long time ago. As that tore what hope the woman had of finding Katsumi ever again to pieces, as it broke her literally. Naruto has grown over the past couple of months. He was tall, very tall. For someone his age, given the fact that the hero water had extended his body to a degree. Although it has shortened his lifespan a bit. Taken now a couple of years, but still, he has grown in the couple of months that passed. As things were coming off well. Sakura on the other hand was having a bad time, as she had burn marks. The burn marks that could not be healed, and she saw them every day. As she didn't like herself recently, as she has been taking an evaluation, realized that she was so weak and that she could die at any moment out there in the field. As she tried to water walk, but she fell in the water every time. That is when an envoy came by and held her up, as she thanked the man. It was then that the man was bringing her towards her home and she passed out. It was Naruto under his veil. As he used something on her to make her fall asleep, he was surrounded by the envoys, including Anko, as this was the mass killer that has been taking out ninjas. As they attacked him, he threw Sakura towards one of them. Starting distractions, he was able to bring them down, as Anko was the only one left alive when he was done, as he fled. As Anko didn't know who it was, but there was just something about him, something that reminded her about someone, and she didn't want to believe that it was this person. She didn't want to believe that. Jiraiya had went and got Snazzy as he made her came back to the village. She was only doing this because of Katsumi, and not to mention she heard about Naruto as well, as Minato came to Naruto as he had a mission, as he was supposed to escort Snazzy around the village, as Naruto was kind of angry at that. This was not really much of a mission. He was just gonna babysit this old drunk, as he came by the Namikaze compound, which he was not gonna step foot inside of. As the woman came out, as he said some things that pissed her off as she tried to hit him, but she was talking to a clone the entire time. As a clone talked to her, she found out that Naruto could sustain a clone for a month. As the real Naruto's in the force of death because he has been on edge lately. As people seem to think that it was his fault for Katsumi. Something was bothering him differently though. As his new snake, who was Kuro's son, told him to go to Kuro as Uncle made her way to the force of death, as the snakes guided her. It was a demand, not an accent, as she saw the snakes here had gotten large. It was because of the contract that Naruto created, and Kuro was now the boss snake of the contract that Naruto created, it seems. As he was large like a mountain, shocking the hell out of Anko, but what she saw alarmed her. The snakes, all of them around here, they were getting bigger. It seems like Naruto was preparing an army for something bad. So yeah guys, so it's basically as we left off. You guys can switch across the place, check up yourself. So this begins new episode. I see, said Uncle after hearing her Kuro turned so big. It was the water. So, I mean no offense, but What does he plan to do? He cannot wish to take on the fort or Konoha. After all, you guys are just snakes. No offense taken, but no. We are here for another reason, Uncle-san. We are his summons. As he pointed at the boy with his tail. And we are his family as well. He still has years left in Konoha, and he will need someone to make him go to sleep. Even Yoru has trouble sometimes forcing him to go to sleep. But when he comes here, he gets a proper sleep. Why? He looks so peaceful right now. Kuro gently lifted his tail as he placed the boy on Uncle's lap. As Uncle smiled as she looked down towards the boy, he was sleeping so calmly, so peacefully. Hey Kuro, can you tell me something? Uncle asked, as the snake slowly nodded. Is he the assassin that goes around at night, killing people? If I answer that, would you do something about it? Kuro asked. At first, if I had known, no. Because he was taking care of some bad people, but now, he has been taking down good jonins and loyal ninjas to the village. Even a couple of civilians has been hit as well. Are you sure about that, Uncle? Asked Kuro. Yeah, so it's him, huh? Said Uncle as a tear slowly ran down her cheek. The boy that she was holding in her lap was a murderer, a cold-blooded one as well. But he was the one that understood her pain. He was the one that called her big sister. And right now she didn't know what to do. No, said Kuro. I will not refute that in the past he has not entered rooms of Anvus and Jonins to teach him a lesson. But he has never killed anyone intentionally, at least. If someone was trying to frame him, then I know who it is. And that just proved how some of Konoha shinobis are worse than our kind. Uncle started to sob in relief, holding on to Naruto's head. She should at least put some doubt in Kuro's words. But it didn't matter, she heard what she wanted to hear, and she would not question them. Big sister? As Naruto woke up to see Uncle crying. Why are you crying? Naruto asked. She kissed him on the forehead. Everything is fine, little brother, she said. Get some sleep now. I'll be here when you wake up. Promise, said Naruto. As he smiled at her, a small, soft, beautiful smile. Even though his body looked like it was supposed to be 14 or 15 years old, he was still a sweet, gentle child at heart. Promise, Uncle said. As Naruto closed his eyes and dozed off, a couple minutes later, in the end the incense around the room made Uncle feel sleepy as well, as she also fell asleep. Kuro placed them behind him where there was a set of mats and pillows. Meanwhile, Snally, she had been toyed with. She hoped that she would find something to find out where the brat had gone. Instead, the force of death had gone quietly since she was last here. And she couldn't find the brat anywhere as she lost her rage. She started to break trees down and throw them around. Just where the hell are you hiding, brat? She shouted. Damn, he got you too. Snally turned as Jiraiya was in sage mode. Jiraiya, what the hell's going on? Why are you in sage mode? I am trying to settle the imbalance in the forest. Because come be damned, the brat made a deal with me to help him strengthen his security hideout. And I can't seem to find him anymore. As he cut off the natural energy, Snally snapped towards him. Why didn't you warn me that he's outright hateful of Kushina? If he's become that while I wasn't here, I don't know. I just know every time I come here, months later, the boy seemed to get darker and darker. And the path that he's following down, as you can see with the snakes. We need to stop this before he becomes like our former teammate. As he was serious. Snally nodded. He doesn't seem like a genin anymore. And at the moment he doesn't even look like one anymore. And if he is not boasting, he can actually summon 2,000 clones. Well, he's getting stronger. Coupled with him not sleeping, I'm afraid that Minato has something to worry about in the long term, Jiraiya. He seemed to be turning into a time bomb. The more he stays in Konoha, the worse he gets. As she held on to the necklace around her neck, the will of fire should have nothing to do with kidnapping children. He's considering himself as a weapon, Jiraiya. Seems like it's worse than I thought. He's returning to his root mentality. As Jiraiya surely, but slowly explained everything to Snally. The woman started to flop with rage as she heard everything that happened. About Root. As she smashed her face into a nearby tree, blowing it away. Damn you, Donzo! The woman said in rage as she understood why things were so bad now. Time skip. It was night. As she was sleeping on Naruto's couch, she obviously didn't want to. But she came by, and she decided to stay until he returned to ask him if he can help her with her burn marks. As Sakura ended up falling asleep, The first thing that woke her up was a knock on Naruto's door. Someone had knocked and the door had opened slowly, with a light creaking sound. As she looked up but she did not see anyone. As she was too tired as her head went back towards the sofa. Behind her, looking over Naruto's bed, was Kushina. Her face looked rather pale. Her hair had grown out, as her face looked sunken in because she refused to eat. She had to be force-fed after all. As she walked around the room, she couldn't find him anywhere. So she made her way towards the bathroom because he was not in the bed, so he must be in there. As chains started to emerge from her body as she walked, they started to rattle. As Sakura opened her eyes, she slowly got up. Kushina wasn't even focused on anything else. She was just here to find Naruto. As Sakura went to get a glass of water, it was when Kushina heard the noise coming from the kitchen. Oh, it was simple. Her and Naruto simply went to get some water. He must be thirsty, the poor boy. As she came towards the kitchen and then stopped, her face twisted in anger when she saw the girl's back. She had short pink hair and she stood there, drinking a glass of water from the tap. She was in Naruto's kitchen, drinking from his glass. That was her son's glass. That pink hair, where had she seen it before? Oh yes, she knew it. This was that little bitch who had taken her Naruto away. Yes, someone must be influencing him. She knew that someone must be influencing him when she had snapped the neck of the kunoichi that was assigned to guard her for the day. And she had removed her own chakra suppressing seal. She had known that her Naruto could have never said that. What he said that day, your children are dead. You need to live with it. No, that was not her Naruto-kun. This was this girl's fault. The chains rattled loud enough for Sakura to turn around. She turned around and she screamed as Kushina looked rather terrifying wearing a white nightgown. Not to mention her face was twisted in rage as she ducked the chains, pierced into the concrete and the kitchen as water was sprayed everywhere. Sakura tried to run but she slipped on the water as she dropped on her shoulder. As she winks in pain, Kushina's chain hit the table that was in the way. Everything was always in her way for saving her son. Why couldn't anyone at all understand her? Tsunade at least told her that she would do something about Naruto. But Kushina knew the truth. The old hag just wanted Naruto for herself. She hadn't come back the entire day or all night. She probably took him as her new grandson and escaped with him. She was too much of a friend with Jiraiya, the one that wanted to take her son away from the beginning. Why can't they just understand? I just want my son. I just want my son, she roared. As the table splintered, Kushina stepped forward. But she had to know something first with this girl being in Naruto's house. Sakura started to cry as the chains wrapped around her tight and hit her against the wall as Kushina pulled her close, incredibly close. Sakura-chan, she said with a playful tone. Have you slept with my son, she asked. Her eyes stared at the pink-haired girl that was not answering back. Why wasn't she answering back? Sure, she had a chain around her neck that was preventing her from saying anything, sure. She seemed to have fainted from the hit to the head when she hit against the wall. But she was guilty. She was guilty, that was the reason why she wasn't speaking. Sakura-chan, you shouldn't sleep with other people's sons. As Sakura was thrown as she dropped right on the bed, a chain slashed at her stomach, making her eyes open in pain. I have to make sure that you never do this again as a chain emerged. Right to skewer the girl. There was a poof. Kushina turned, but she saw nothing. But the couch was gone. As she returned, the chain tightened around Sakura's throat as she clawed at it, trying to get away. As another chain ripped out some of her hair as she cried out in pain. Sakura-chan, said Kushina. You have a pretty skin, she says. She trailed her finger along Sakura's body. I had it too, before I gave birth to two wonderful babies. But you know what happened? One died, and I was so sad. But then no longer when I found out that he wasn't dead. But he didn't know me. Then, he died again. But then, I found him once more, and he still doesn't know me. As she punched Sakura right in the stomach as the girl barked out at the pain, but it came out as a muffled squeak because her throat. She could not talk properly. But you know what? I tried. I did everything in my power to try. Tried to find a way to make him see that I was his mother and I only wanted best for him. But then I lost my little girl. And then he hated me for that. He said that I didn't have anything left. I didn't have any more children. As the trains straightened Sakura up. And it was you, wasn't it? You made him hate me, didn't you? That is why. I'm gonna make you never be able to do something like that again. As the chain rocketed forward, but Sakura closed her eyes, accepting that she was done for. But she felt absolutely no pain. When she opened her eyes, senbons were embedded in Kushina's back, stopping her mobility, as it was a ninjato going right through her skull. And as she closed her eyes, as her chains dispersed, as Sakura fell. She fell right on bed. "Are you alright?" The voice, that gentle voice of the masked man. Sakura felt so relieved as she rushed over towards the man, as she hugged in tears, pulling out of her eyes. He slowly ruffled her hair as he held on to her gently, waiting for her to calm down. Naruto, I was so scared," Sakura said, as Naruto looked at her with saddened eyes as he whispered back, "Don't be, I'm here now. I'll take care of everything." As Sakura nodded, as she started to blush as she realized the condition her clothes was in and what was going on. You need," said Naruto, "to take a shower. Then I'll lend you some clothes and walk you home if you want to. Or I'll bring you somewhere safe to get this all of your system, okay?" Sakura nodded as she slowly moved towards the bathroom, her cheeks red, as she glanced around slightly to make sure it wasn't a dream or that she wasn't dead. It took half an hour for her to clean and fix herself. When she came back out, she saw clothes waiting for her, neatly put, as it was dark green. As she rationalized it all in her mind while she was in the shower, Naruto had probably come back home and saw this scene, and he had saved her. So far, so good. But why was Kushina in Naruto's house, ranting about her son? Sakura didn't understand. Why was she saying that? Had she just gone crazy? What did she mean that I took him away? Sakura thought to herself. But it couldn't be that Kushina was Naruto's mother. No, that didn't make any sense. As she walked towards the living room, dressed in green clothing. As she stepped into the living room, she rushed over to the corner, holding onto her head in fear, because there was another Kushina there, talking to Naruto. "It's alright, Sakura-chan," said Naruto. "It's just a transformation." But she was still hunched down the corner as she was afraid, as that woman nearly killed her. If Naruto hadn't arrived, she would be dead by now. "I will go and get out of here," the trick Danbo patrol. "I'll use some chains to make it look real," the Kushina Naruto said, as the clone left off. As the real Naruto made his way towards Sakura, she leaped back towards him with a hug. "Naruto, I'm so scared," she said. The girl was trembling in his arms. She was really afraid, as he held on to her until she fell asleep. As the voice of the Kyuubi then spoke, "You just kill your..." "She's not my mother. Yujito was more of a mom than that red-haired woman would ever be." "I was gonna say former sensei." "Jeez," said the Kyuubi. "Like if I believe you," said Naruto. "Well, you did get a dose of good sleep, didn't you? Slept like a rock through the afternoon into the night." "Yes," said Naruto. "Alpha is back doing his job and Delta and Epsilon are back doing their own, increasing security. You know, paranoia is the first sign of if I had been paranoid in the first place, Shiro wouldn't have been dead. I wouldn't have been caught by trusting a red-haired woman, and this wouldn't have happened. I would have still been Kumo if I had been paranoid from the beginning, but I let my guard down, and trust that woman, and now I'm here, in this hellhole I need to escape from." "Well, still, you had the couch eater." "Well, no one's gonna question the couch," said Naruto. "You know, that's quite a funny joke when you think about it," said the Kyuubi. As Naruto looked towards the sleeping Sakura, she was lucky that he arrived on time. If he hadn't been alerted by the coach, things would have gone bad soon. He wouldn't be that angry over her death. But still, having a dead Kunoichi in his apartment, there was a lot to explain, and if Kushina had gotten away with it, well, the Hokage would have made sure that she got somewhere safe, saying that it was probably because of mental issues. That would have been bad for him. He wouldn't have liked that. But at least this solved all of his problem. The clone will move towards the edge of the town, towards the back gates, and disperse. As Naruto sighed, well, he was tired. Not really tired per se or physically, but mentally. As he went to get sleep, the next day, Sakura heard faint breathing. A couple seconds later, the breathing came to a stop, before it returned back to normal. As she felt herself being lifted up and placed down, and she opened her eye, as she saw Naruto heading towards the kitchen. She stood up, her face red in embarrassment. As she looked around the living room, was back to normal. There was no torn sheets, no blood. The place was clean. As she got up and followed Naruto though, the kitchen sink was still destroyed, and the wooden table was over to the side smashed. As she wondered where they were going to put the breakfast, that is when she saw a snake slither their way in. She would have screamed, but she has seen far too much for her to lose the anger right now. Yes, there was a lot that she's seen already. "Table formation, boys, get to it, please," said Naruto. The snakes got the broken piece of wood, as they formed it on their body, moving, and they coiled together, making a perfect table. A table that was made out of snakes and wood. "Cheers, all fine," said Naruto, as he had a smile on his face. As Sakura stood there, completely shocked, as Naruto got her breakfast. It was eggs, scrambled eggs and ham. Naruto-kun, said Sakura, as this was her fault. If she hadn't been here, this wouldn't have happened to him. I know. What are you gonna do, she said. She didn't want anything to happen to him because he did to save her. But still, that woman, I'm not gonna do anything, said Naruto. But she's a Hokage's wife. The Hokage's wife has been seen walking towards Konoha gates in her nightgown, with her chains rattling. She'll probably become a ghost story soon. Sakura sighed. He did to save her. Of course she would not tell anyone about it, after all. If it wasn't for him, she would have been dead. Want bread, said Naruto. You know, I should be on a diet, she said. But she simply shrugged as he placed the bread down, as she folded it, and make a sandwich out of it. Anything to drink, she asked. Orange juice or milk, he asked. It was strange as the both of them started to make small talk. She was confused. It was nice. With her family, her father kept on making accusations about her being a kunoichi. He did not want that life for her, and he hated that she was still doing it after all. She almost died. And her mother told her to settle down and be a housewife. As she didn't want that. She wanted something else. She didn't want to be like them. But here she was with Naruto eating breakfast and they were having normal, small talk. By the way, said Naruto once they finished breakfast, what was the reason why you were in my house? I want to know if there was anything you could do about my scars, she said. Naruto shook his head. You see, it's not because I heal Yakumo that she doesn't have a scar. It's that Yakumo has a special ability to make genjutsus reality. So she simply made her genjutsu skin real. She could literally transform into anything she wants, like a hench. It's a really neat skill, limited only by her imagination. But it has a horrible downside to it. What's that, Sakura asked. It made the user develop a split personality, real evil as well, bent on destruction and carnage. The only reason why Yakumo is still sane is because she had it sealed away. As Sakura nodded, she started to fidget with her own hair. Listen, Naruto, she said. Yeah, said Naruto. Thank you for saving me. I'm already a failure as a kunoichi, and you went out of your way to save me, knowing that what you did could have repercussions with Kumo. But you still do it. Thank you, she said. Thank you for everything. As she kissed him on the cheek. She then ran away, leaving the house. After, glancing back once more, a thankful look on her face as she was gone. Boss, you're a heart stealer, Yuro said as he came from Naruto's sleeve. As Naruto sighed, so, Kuro is demanding, huh? Yep, Pop said if you see more than 5 clones more than a time, doing what they're doing, he's gonna come over here and throw you against Hokage's mountain, and knock you out so you can get some sleep. You're gonna burn up your life fuse if you continue doing this. As Naruto rolled his eyes as he reached towards the door as he paused, he slowly opened the door, as a chuckling Jiraiya was standing there, along with a furious Navi, and Shizune behind. Hey boy, Jiraiya said a smile. Did you use protection? Snazzy punched him as he crashed into the wall. As she stepped forward, you dropped your charge in the middle of the afternoon, you know that, brat. And you weren't in the forest of death. Hey now, the boss was there, said Yoru. And he even slept like a baby for more than Naruto grabbed Yoru by the neck. Hey, I don't sleep like a baby, said Naruto. As he let Yoru go, who simply chuckled. He then turned. Senju's Navi, he said. I was in the forest of death and I'm sorry about my disappearance. But you did try to hit me. I did want to pump some sense into you. But I didn't ask for the full side of the story. And he did not do a good job explaining either. As she pointed towards Jiraiya, who just got out of the wall. Hey, it wasn't my fault. When I told you about having a great grandson, I could barely get a couple words in before you dashed back to Konoha. I want to know, asked Snappy. Did Kushina pass by? As she seemed rather worried about it. Well, luckily I wasn't home, said Naruto. She did a really big mess with my kitchen. Coach-san warned me in time, so I didn't come back home. Coach-san, said Snazzy. The coach unraveled to release a giant anaconda. Both Shizune and Snazzy eyes went wide. Yep, he's one of my summons, so he reverse summoned himself back where the scroll was. Then Alpha and Beta, as 2 giant boa snake, emerged from the ceiling, reverse summoning me back here when she was gone. Fine, Brett, but I want to see that scroll with my own eyes. You can't tell me that everything went off without a hitch. I mean, it's snake summons. And plus, creating that mean that you had a talk with your sage. So, why didn't he kill you, Jiraiya asked. Yeah, I'm also curious about that, asked Navi. Only if I see yours too, said Naruto. Snazzy raised his eyebrow. And why would you want that? Because all it will take is for someone to destroy my scroll, and it will mess up all my summons. So since mine is in a safe place, I will not risk it alone. Seemed pretty logical to me. Fine, we'll do that later then, said Jiraiya. But there's something else I want to know. How the hell did you age so much in a couple of months? Actually, hero water, sauna, coupled with someone's chakra, added plus. His father, said Naruto looking at Yuru. I will probably keep it up until I reach 25 or 30 years. But then I should return to aging normally, so it won't be so bad, I suppose. I don't actually need to be a kid anymore. I wasn't a kid a long time ago, so I don't see any problem with it. You're really not caring about this at all. It's your childhood we're talking about, said Snappy. She had hoped to see some spark in his eye, but there was nothing. I had 5 years of childhood in Kumo. That's more than enough for me, said Naruto, as he chuckled. Now, I'd like to know why I have 2 linear Sanins in my living room, seeing that I would like to go training until... Oh no you don't, said Yoru, as he slapped Naruto in the cheek with his tail, as he jumped on his head. Listen here, he's to remain inside for at least a week to get some rest. No strenuous activities. Do what you have to keep him. Be quiet, said Naruto. Your father was a lot more quiet as Yoru jumped away as Naruto tried to grab him, as he jumped on the ceiling. Don't make me come up there, said Naruto. Not until you promise you'll take it easy for a week, said Yoru. The Chunin exams are around the corner, I need training, said Naruto. Tsunade watched him. He changed emotion so quickly. It was like he put up different barriers, depending on who was watching him. She was Senju-sama. Jiraiya was Jiraiya-san. But with his snake it was a kid, and his talking pet friend. Promise, said Yoru. As Naruto sighed, promise, Yoru said. Fine, I promise, said Naruto as he sat down, legs crossed, as Yoru jumped down and landed right on top of his head. Good, he said as he disappeared into Naruto's jacket. Naruto sighed, so, now what I'm gonna do, he said. As Jiraiya looked down towards the boy, Tsunade spoke, turning her head as she did. Well, you can make it up to me by going around Tony B properly, and you can call me Oba-san, and I can call you Naruto-kan, she said. As Naruto turned towards her, she looked nervous. But you're too pretty to be an Oba-san, he said. More like Oba-chan, he said. As Tsunade blinked in surprise. She and Jiraiya thought the same thing. Where did the angry brat that was here a day ago gone? Yep, just let him sleep and he'd get these results. I told him that 3 hours of sleep wasn't enough. Everyone told him that 3 hours of sleep wasn't enough, said Yoru. You idiot, said Tsunade. You should sleep at least 8 hours a night. No wonder why you're so grumpy. Tsunade looked around. There's not even a gambling place nearby, she said. I can bring you where I usually go, said Naruto as he picked up himself. Wait, when did you start to gamble? Asked Jiraiya, as he started to follow out of sheer curiosity. Kuro loved ramen, but thankfully only eat once in a while. So I put the catch apart through gambling, said Naruto, as Naruto transformed into a busted brunette. As Jiraiya gave the thumbs up of approval as they entered the casino. As he went towards the slot machine. As he pulled it down, and it was a jackpot. Tsunade blinked in surprise. 5 hours later, Tsunade had lost over 20 million Ryu, and Naruto had won over 20.5 million. The woman was shocked to her core. Well, she was a bad gambler, but this kid, he was like a lucky rabbit. To her surprise though, he gave her back what she lost. Well, he said, this month food bills accounted for, as he put away the rest. Wait, you spent 500,000 Ryu on food? Asked Tsunade in surprise. Yep, said Naruto, my family eats a lot. As Naruto felt something strange as he was lifted up by a large arm. As Naruto turned his head, ready to look toward the person, his eyes started to water. Dad? Dad, he said as he jumped and hugged the man. Tsunade thought that she was hallucinating, so was Jiraiya, as he looked at the blonde, tan man there. As Shizune and watched the man hug the boy Naruto, the Sanins were unable to react when the man just appeared and grabbed Naruto under his arm. It took them a few seconds to put the situation in hand. The Raikage was here in Konoha a week earlier before the start of Chunin exams. Next to him stood another tan man with shades. It was the one and only Octopop's Killer Bee. But the strange thing was the normal serious Raikage of Kumo was smiling and laughing and ruffling the boy's hair as Naruto was neck hugging him like any boy would do to their father. Shizune simply smiled at the heartwarming scene. See, I told you it was him. Naruto, you've grown so much in these months. As A felt Naruto neck hug, the boy had become stronger. He looked no longer like the boy that he first sent on a mission, but as his eyes sparkled with a joy. The Raikage saw something deep within them that made him frown. Something was going to talk to the bastard of Konoha about. As B raised his fist, as Naruto's fist bumped him, the man felt his body electrocuted by the rhymes that was flowing through his system that he hasn't spoken because he made a promise. Yo bro, it's good to have you back. Now I'm sure we got stuff to crack. So let's get the rhymes going, because it's been years since my tongue has been sealed. Waiting for bro, fist bumping. So Iron Claw said A. Be quiet, he says the Iron Claw B. You've been quiet about your rhyme for some time now, and this is not the moment for you to start rhyming. The Iron Claw is really something of the legends. As Raikage looked down back towards Naruto, it was this snake that came from his jacket that spoke. As a snake went on top of Naruto's head, looking at Raikage, the Raikage narrowed his eyes. Dad, this is Yoru, said Naruto. Son of Koru, he said. Hey, go with the presentation, said Naruto. Snavy and Jiraiya watched. The boy was acting like a child, happy to see his father and his family. It changed in so little time, just the appearance of them. They could see how sad the boy was within Konoha after all. Being here now, the boy had become so happy. I am Yoru, said Yoru as he stand to attention using his tail on top of Naruto's head. I am the trailblazer of plains, the burner of Armageddon, the fire snake. A pleasure to meet you. As he brought his tail forward, A was a bit surprised as he shook it. I am A, the Raikage of Kumo, the father of Naruto. I hope he hasn't given you too many headaches, A said. Not at all, but he does refuse to sleep sometimes. But we take care of that, Pops and I. Why do you all have something against sleeping 3 hours, as Yoru slipped back into Naruto's jacket? Because it is wrong and unhealthy, and you have a week of rest before the exams, so use it. Well, I think you should be surprised to know that your big sister and C are coming around while they're rude. He went to Hokage to tell him that we arrived a bit early, said E. Yo, I'm gonna break the man's spine if you haven't been fined. No one treat my bro like crap and get away with that. As B went into a rhyming fit as he was just spilling out. It's been so long he couldn't control it anymore. A iron clawed him once again into the ground. As Naruto smiled, missing the old scene. I know Jiraiya, but who's these two? Asked A. After all, Snady was not looking at herself at the moment, looking incredibly young so. As that was going on, someone woke up. Yes, something strange was happening. Chakra worked in mysterious ways. More than chakra though, does something else. No one turned mad in the blink of an eye. No one turned evil from day to night. And just like those things happened, it was normal. Like how it was normal for the Uzumaki vitality to be so strong. The Uzumakis were known to never get sick because of their body and their vitality. Yes, something rather strange, but it was. That is why you should also make sure that your heart came to a stop before you think that they're dead. But that was strange, for something to mend a fractured skull back together. It had worked so slowly in fact, that Naruto did not realize it. When he had removed the ninjutsu from Kushina's head, or the Senbon needles, something that managed against all odds and mental capabilities, medical, science, something that seemed impossible to make a certain red-haired woman open her eyes hours after her certain death inside a snake digested system. Said woman, Kushina Uzumaki, emerged from the snake gut in a rather gruesome way. The snake never got that split second to summon away, to disperse, to go back towards the scroll. The couch died as chains exploded out of it, ripping the couch snake to pieces as a mad, twisted, gut-filled Kushina emerged. Naruto-kun, she said, Mommy, he's coming for you. As she made her way, she felt something thick going through her veins, but she didn't care what it was, as long as she got her son. A diamond-shaped tattoo on the back of her shoulder shined brightly for a second before it dispersed and spread black pattern along her back, healing all of her minor wounds. When she had reached her final breath in the belly of the beast, hours after the Yang release had reached its own course, a flicker of dark chakra came from her shoulder. Alpha and Beta, the two boa snake, felt it as they poofed away. They had to warn Kuro, they had to warn their boss. Mostly, they felt afraid. They didn't know what the hell just happened, or how was she back, but the fear they felt. They need to warn their boss quickly. Meanwhile, see Flicker. He was a powerful sensor. As he looked around, confused, he doubted that Yujito RB had gone on a murderous rampage After all, they spend time under the waterfall of truth, and they learn how to control themselves. But the yin chakra that he just sensed, it was impossible for any of them to generate so much. Not to mention it required tail-based chakra minimum, and he didn't feel or hear any screams going on. But this foul sense, what the hell was it? He didn't feel it anymore though. "Listen up, team," he said as he looked towards the 3 brats that were there. "You all have your rooms in the inn. You've been assigned a training ground to train. Those who don't pass the Chunin exam preliminary get to stay here to watch the others fight. If you all lose, we all leave, got it?" Shigenori Yugoro raised his hand into the sky, his green eyes staring up to the sky as his raven hair blew, thanks to a slight breeze. "Fate shall guide us to a victorious path, I know," he said, as his attire consists of a long white robe with a kunai belt and metal knuckles on his wrists. He might look like a taijutsu specialist, but under that white robe was a large amount of weapons. "Shut up!" Shoko Fujimoto said as a kneecap was quickly sent towards the boy's face, knocked him down on the ground with all this fake crap. "Seems you won't understand. This whole crap fate thing," the girl said, looking down at him. "It's not real." As all of them were the graduate from Naruto's class, as they were on Team C, as she was a tomboy on the team, like how she was back then in the academy. That had to hurt," Saya Ichikawa said as she moved towards the boy on the ground. As she got lower to the boy, making sure her kimono was unscathed. After all, she was a pristine woman, as she made sure that the boy knows was okay. After all, she was a healer on the team. Saya's dark hair had been grown slightly longer, and despite gravity, somehow her ponytail seemed to be glue on her right shoulder. Her brown eyes turned to Shoko. "You know, ladies should be refined. Ape. Who are you calling an ape?" "My, isn't it obvious?" she asks. "Brats," said C, as he sighed. "Why couldn't they be like Naruto?" "Yes, joke and laugh a bit, but go back to calm him down in a second. But if he's not there to calm them down, then things usually get hectic." As Yujito had left her team here as well, as they were over to the side right here. As she was the one a bit disturbed, saying that Naruto has changed. So they made sure to come to Konoha a week earlier to make sure everything was okay. "So, same stuff for you. You're right," asked C as he looked towards Hiyori. Hiyori didn't even know why they were there. The last mission they went on, everything turned to hell so fast. And she knew that they weren't tuning material. Yujito sensei was a nice sensei, but usually, most time her mind was up in the clouds. Sometimes it feel like when she looked at them, she looked through them, and she saw someone else. As Mogura looked around, sniffing the air as he smiled. "I know where to find Naruto-kun. I'll be going," he said, as he swayed as he walked, while his arms had thickened, as they had developed through training for him to dig through the earth like a mole. As his natural thing was earth, it fit perfectly for him. "Ramen stand," Shinkazen said, the last member of their team. Mogura see little to nothing, but he smelled and senses tremors pretty fine. With that, he followed his teammate as C nodded as he wanted to see Naruto as well. As they met, C smiled at Naruto as Naruto jumped and hugged him, as he was happy to see him again. As he turned towards Mogura and gave him a handshake, as Naruto had to hold his hand in pain, as Mogura's grip was insane. Well, it was kind of a joke, but his hand was truly tough. Hiyori blushed a bit as she saw the older boy. He was the one that saved her, but he looked so much older. Shoko pointed her finger at Naruto. "Naruto-kun, I'm going to become the first female Raikage in history. You won't beat me to it." "Oh, monkey, keep quiet," Saya said, in her dignified, lady manner. "Naruto-san, it is fate that we meet on such a fine day. As much as I want to, Yoro was interrupted as Shoko spoke again. Well, spoke with a punch as she punched him right in the stomach. "I told you to stop with all that fake crap." As Naruto raised the eyebrow as he leaned over to Saya. "Did something happen?" he said. "Yes. The ape and the fate boy seem to have gotten together, and that's their way of couple talking, I suppose," Saya said. As Naruto winks, as he watched her kick the boy down to the ground. "I hope I never find myself in that situation." As the snake came from Naruto's sleeve and introduced himself. A set of screams later, and everyone was eating ramen. In the end, Tuki found himself a cage amongst his customers, the Raikage. He just was glad that he had expanded his ramen booth, as the place was large now. There was a mysterious eater of ramen who always asks for takeaway to be dropped at Konoha Gate, a rather large quantity. He always paid punctually, but Toki never saw his face. Even if he stood there and watched, what he saw was a massive gust of wind, and when he squinted or closed his eyes, when he opened them back, the ramen was gone. As Ion took their orders, the Raikage had to ask, so, kid, does Konoha really love pink or something? As almost everyone had pink painting over them. As Snaddy bit her lip, hoping that Naruto wouldn't say it. Oh, sometimes, people try to break in my apartment to trash my stuff, and use pig blood to write on the wall, Demon Child, or Kumo Bastard. So when my snakes captured them at the doorway, I threw pink paint on them after they've been paralyzed by my snakes, to make sure they don't try it again. If someone with pink paint comes in once again, my snakes have the order to maim them, said Naruto. The Raikage started tapping his finger on the counter, as Jiraiya noticed a small spark around the man's finger. As B spoke, hey bro, you mind telling us how they treated you? Jiraiya prayed to whatever kami, whatever deity out there that Naruto could at least have some refrain, a small bit to not spill out everything, because things weren't gonna be good. Well, first days suck, but I met some very nice people. The shopkeepers didn't want me in their shop though, so I had to go with the same clothes for a while, and food was ramen for a long while, because Toki here was the only one who seemed to be nice to me. Him and his precious daughter, said Naruto. I couldn't buy anything else from the other stalls. People threw rocks and stuff at me if I didn't take the rooftops, so I started to gather poison, as I mean to avoid taking the Hokage's turret. That is where I met Uncle-chan, said Naruto, who was really strange but incredibly nice. As Uncle sneezed where she was. Someone must be talking about me, she said, as she continued eating her dango. Then I took down a large snake, and with the money I got, I managed to rent an apartment thanks to Kakashi-sensei. It didn't have doors, so people could not barge into it easily, you know? There was literally nothing in there, but it was fine, until Uncle came in with her snakes, and her snake furniture. And you have to meet Kuro-san, he was one of my first snakes, and he's really polite and friendly as well. Yes, father always rants about me polite. It goes a long way, younglings, Yuro said, trying to imitate his father. Anyway, said Naruto, everything went fine until the 10th of October came, as he clenched his fists. And that bastard killed Shiru with an explosive tag, and he nearly killed me too in the process, setting fire to the apartment complex. Luckily, I managed to close the gas valve. Took me 4 days of hospitalized until I was set free. But Uncle was there, so it wasn't boring. Then, after that, I had to take this, as he pointed towards his wrist, where the Konoha headband was. That same afternoon I was captured, questioned, and tortured, because they wanted to know if I had stolen the Forbidden Scroll from the Hokage's office, something I did not do. Electricity started to sparkle off the Raikage. The more Naruto spoke, as Toki gulped, going to the back of his store to grab a thunder rod, just in case, as you could feel the aura leaking from B as well. After that, while I was still in a weakened state, I was captured by Mizuki, one of the academy senseis, who brought me out into a clearing where Katsumi-chan was. That was the Hokage's daughter, who had failed the exam and had taken a jutsu from the scroll. To pass it, it was a trick by Mizuki. But I was out there along with Kuro, and I was able to bring the worthless bastard scum down, said Naruto. And I put him down like scum that he was. The Raikage narrowed his eyes. It was not to give a damn about any Konoha ninja. But the way that Naruto said that, and the venom, and the dullness in his eyes, it was making him worry. After all, every ninja killed, but he had to worry about Naruto's sanity, knowing that Naruto has been through a lot more than anyone else. Both Snavi and Jiraiya saw it. Yes, they both saw it. The longer Naruto stayed here, the longer he had to snap one day. Kumo had to take him back. The boy was at ease around his family. Konoha was just causing him problems, and if he stayed here, things were just gonna get bad for them. As he should head back home with his family. After all, he loved them and he wanted to be with them. It was just torture keeping him here, somewhere where he didn't want to be, and it was clearly obvious. Then I got team assignments with Uzumaki-san as my sensei, said Naruto. A couple missions later, we went on the Taki mission with Kakashi-sensei team, and we came back without Katsumi. When Uzumaki-sensei got herself to the psychiatric ward, she lost it, as I had to save Yakumo, my teammate, from being abused by the woman. It was horrible. Yakumo was crying in my arms, said Naruto. About demons coming from the wall. You see, she's from the Kurama clan, and she has a split personality. Whenever she feels saddened to the point like she have nothing left, and she feel afraid, incredibly so. So, with our sensei almost abusing her, she start to lose her mind and she start to get afraid. And I snap at our sensei and I left with her. Snad frowned, so that is how it went. The Genjutsu girl was having a mental breakdown after a day of Kushina abuse. And if Naruto didn't act like the white shining armor that he was, the seed would have break, and who knows what would have happened. With that girl's ability to warp reality with her Genjutsu, things would have been bad for everyone. Then I created a snake summoning scroll, said Naruto, and I met a certain white snake. Wait, what? Said Jiraiya as he turned towards Naruto. You met the boss summon? And he doesn't even think it's important, said Tsunade as Naruto just glanced over that, as he shook her head. Well, said Naruto with a shrug, after that I met with this nice Oba-chan here. And then you grabbed me, Dad. And that's the story of my life in Konoha. As Naruto turned, the Raikage was gone. As Naruto raised the eyebrow, the bro has gone to have a chat with that damn bastard in the stupid hat, said B. As Jiraiya and Tsunade turned towards the Hokage's office. You torture him? The scream could be heard almost all over Konoha, the voice filled with rage and anger. But guys, be in episode right here. If you want to see next person to do, like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on the bell notification to stay posted. Remember, share this with your friends in social media platform, and also stay in tune for the rest of the what ifs coming your way. I hope you guys enjoy each and every one of them. But for now, I'm out of here. See you guys soon. Peace out.